probably feels just as foreign today as it did when I first started my podcast almost a year ago, which I can't believe that I'm saying I'm approaching the 1 year anniversary of this podcast, but that is a separate episode. Today, as you see by the title, I'm spilling the tea on me and everything that has been happening in my life. I feel like I do these life updates quarterly. And so this is really timely. So before I jump in, there's a lot going on in my mind. It's probably a little echoey because we're in a completely new place. But again, before I jump in, let's go ahead and get the intro rolling. Welcome to episode 39 of Leadership Untitled with Kareen Turner. That's me. On this podcast, I talk about all things leadership and operations excellence. Oh boy. Stay tuned. This one's going to be a good one. We talk about all things leadership and operations excellence. And sometimes I share life updates as well. And that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to be quick because the light that I have is slowly dying. And so I'm going to keep this as sweet and as short as possible. We're going to go back. Let's go back into time. Bonus points if you can tell me where that's from, what song that's a reference from in the comment section. And I'm going to pull up the comments so we can chat as I'm going along. And if you're not watching live, please still feel free to participate. If you're watching on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe, stay and join the Leadership Institute, the Leadership Untitled Institute family, where again, we are building a community of influential leaders. So you want to stay and join in. So press subscribe, hit like, leave a comment, and share this content. There's a lot more on this channel for you to enjoy as well. So let's go back, way back into time. And as the title says, across the US and back, or road trip, cross country road trip and back again. 3 years ago, I accepted a growth position at a startup company in Florida. At the time, my husband and I, along with our two little girls, lived in Southern California. And in about 3 weeks, we packed up our home and our then 1-year-old and 4-year-old, 1-year-old and 4-year-old at the time. And we bundled into a car. We sent our stuff off by a truck, and we did our first ever road trip across the country as a family. I truly thought at the last time that time would be the last time that we would be doing such a big adventure. And so that was October of 2019. I have my notes here so that I stay focused. During those 3 years, or actually during the 2.5 years, I reached a career goal, an incredible milestone that I had set for myself, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years ago as a VP of operations. And I achieved an immense amount professionally and also personally while working for one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. What ensued, though, over those 2.5 years would make an incredible book, but I'll go, that will be saved for another time, maybe, potentially, probably not. But if you want to know how that story ends, please check out, oh boy, episode 4, I believe, of the Leadership Untitled podcast, where I share how that 2.5 journey came to an end. So now we're fast forwarding to from 2019 to today, where it's November. We just finished October. And in October 2022, this year, we crossed the country again. And we are back in California, which I'm incredibly excited to share. We are back in California, this time in Northern California, excited to make our home in the East Bay area. As I was packing up again for the second time, mentally preparing for a cross country road trip with an older family now, older children, which was a whole new dynamic, I couldn't help but to acknowledge this literal full circle moment. To the month, exactly 3 years, making the trip again, almost to the day as well, making that trek across the country and packing up. This time with a 4-year old and a 7-year old. And as I said, those dynamics completely changed. It was actually, in some ways, easier to travel with them when they were 1 and 4 years old. We made it across. It was an incredible trip. We took a different way across the United States and got to experience some different cities and different states this time. And we're just happy to be landed. As I said, this may sound a little echoey as you're listening because we're still waiting at this point for the rest of our things to arrive from Florida here. But we're thankful to be in our new home, new background. The background will likely change again as we are getting settled. So, why the move? Why the upheaval of our family? Well, I'm really happy to share that I accepted a role as a leadership and operation success coach, which I'll have an opportunity to combine my healthcare experience, my decades worth of healthcare experience, combined with my private sector experience in supporting hospitals. When I say that out loud, and as I've thought of this new journey that I'm on, this is truly a dream role, a dream opportunity, combining all of my strengths, but still also allowing me to stretch and to be challenged and to work in different ways within the healthcare system than I have before. It is a full-time role, and that is a big difference after working on and being in my company, in my business, my husband and I working together as entrepreneurs for almost a year. But again, this role and the opportunity to move back to California were too good for us to ignore. And that's why we move forward. And because it is a full-time role, there will be some changes to my business. Um, there's been, of course, for those of you who follow and those of you who've reached out to me, there has been a lapse in podcasts and content. That is not my goal to continue. The Leadership Untitled podcast, the Leadership Untitled Institute are passions of mine. And I started them because I truly believe that there needs to be more diverse voices in the leadership thought space, and also just more people recognizing great leadership, but also as leaders, calling out other leaders and helping them to be better, calling out that toxic behavior, calling out behavior that doesn't show respect for the people who are there doing the job and helping us be successful. So I'm really passionate. So that won't change. My focus won't change. How you receive the podcast will be a little different. Normally, I'm going live every Wednesday at noon Eastern time. And let me tell you, getting used to a different time zone has so much more to do with then sleep. It also has to do with just adjusting your mind and, trusting your calendar, that your calendar has moved all of the appointments to the correct time. That has been a whole journey as well. But normally I'm here on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern and I'm live. I won't be able to continue live. And so the podcast, you'll enjoy it through pre-recorded, through anywhere that you listen to your podcast, but also on YouTube as well, where I will be premiering the podcast. And so if we want to have a conversation, I'm actually really excited about this. If we want to have a conversation while the podcast is going, I can be in the comments at the same time, listening, answering your questions, and continuing to grow our community. From your ability to work with me as a coach or as a consultant, I'm really going to be leaning into the Own Your Salary brand, the Own Your Salary work that I was doing. As I have started back on the journey of full-time work in the leadership and operations space, I've had so many incredible epiphanies. And that's the other reason I was excited to get back into full-time work, to continue to keep my feet grounded, my hands on the pulse of what's happening in the workplace, because it has shifted so much, even in this 2022 year that I have been away from the corporate world full time. So I'm excited to be back from that perspective as well. And I will be sharing more about my epiphanies around Own Your Salary. But it does mean that my website will be undergoing some changes. I have to be truly protective of my time and resources to be sure that I'm serving in my full-time role to the best of my ability, to be sure that any clients that I'm working with, that I'm serving them at my best, but also not forgetting me. And so it's setting boundaries. And I have to be that example as I talk about that on this podcast and throughout social media, that you need to also be sure that you're caring for yourself as a leader. So much of the free or low cost options will be going away. So if you want to take advantage of them while you still can, please feel free to do so. They will be disappearing over the next couple of weeks, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to take advantage of them before they go away. I will be announcing some really cool updates as to how you can work with me and grow and join a growing community of influential leaders in the coming weeks. And I don't want to say excited again. I'm saying my words in my mind, and like I've said excited quite a few times, but that's the truth. I'm pleased about where this community is going and where the Leadership Untitled Own Your Salary conversation is also going to grow into and to mature. So I want you to come along for that journey as well. So in addition, what else I have? Let's look at my notes. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. The hardest decision that I had to make regarding my time and recognizing what I can do in the time that I have was looking at my doctoral studies. And I've shared how much I have enjoyed being in my doctoral studies. I didn't stop. I haven't stopped, but I realized that I couldn't keep up with the rigors, and it's truly a rigorous program. While we were going through this significant transition of packing, we ended up having just 2 weeks to pack after needing to evacuate for Hurricane Ian, because that happened right in the middle of all of this. The move across the country, getting used to being back in a full-time role, helping myself and my family adjust to the change as well. So I recognized that I needed to pause, and that's what I did. And I'm thankful that Capella University has the option to pause so that when I go back, I can go back focused, having set up a schedule where I can take on those additional studies for myself, but in a way that doesn't burn me out. And I share all of this on a leadership podcast again, because I do want to practice what I preach. We can't do our best for others. We can't serve at a higher level if we are running ourselves into the ground. We think that we're doing it all. We think that we're doing it all well, but we're not. And from the outside, looking in, we appear frenzied. We appear that we are incredibly busy and that people can't approach us because we are so busy. And that is the opposite of what so many of us desire to do. So, why do I share life updates in addition to what I share? Well, I hope that truly in sharing my journey, that I'm taking my own advice, as I said, and that I inspire you to love and be proud of your journey, no matter what it looks like and no matter the turns that it takes. We're all doing life, especially those of you who are watching, we're doing life the best that we can. And it looks different for us. My journey, my corporate journey, has taken so many unexpected twists and turns. It doesn't make it any less valid. And I want you to embrace where you are and the journey that you have gone on. I want to acknowledge you and I want to recognize the work that you have done. So that's it. I said short but sweet, which it's usually a 30-minute podcast. So this is short and sweet for me. I want you to be sure to stay connected here. As I said, hit subscribe, share this content so that we can continue to grow our community, and stay tuned for more podcasts. I will be back with my usual content, sprinkling in a little bit of what I'm learning here and there. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for reaching out to me and asking what's going on. Where's the podcast? I have appreciated knowing that this space and this time where I share has been meaningful to you, because it is certainly meaningful to me. Thanks again for being here.